about the heroes who brought Jerusalem home. This is in anticipation of Yom Yerushalayim. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about liberating Jerusalem. It's a story of the 71st Tank Battalion who came and fought in the war in Jerusalem when King Hussein invaded alongside Egypt.
Yes, Steve.
The 55th Paratroop Brigade, led by Colonel Motagur, was sent to defend Jerusalem. The story of the 71st Battalion entered the war in Jerusalem as one of determination and courage. Step by step, we will hear about the story. We'll hear about the breaching of barbed wires and mines, talking about Jerusalem being unified. And finally, us blowing the shofar, ending with blowing the shofar in our unified capital, the Jewish capital of Israel, Jerusalem. Tonight we have one of the leaders of the campaign at the time to tell his story about liberating Jerusalem. The phenomenal Uzi Ealam, an IDF brigadier general, former director of the Israel Atomic Energy Commission, a CV far too long for me to read and keep you interested. But let me tell you, one of the heroes of Israel. He's been closely involved in every decision-making event in Israel's history. Dr. Uzi Ealam was battalion commander in the Paratroop Brigade at the time, fighting in Jerusalem during the Six-Day War. And he's going to be speaking about his experiences leading up to the liberation and Jerusalem. I'd just like to make mention, and with thanks, to both Makor Leeds and to Kinlos, alongside the ZF and WZO, for making this evening happen. So, Uzi Ealam, with all the honor and with all the time, welcome, and we are all ears. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, when I thought of this meeting, that I'm honored to be part of it, I felt that I should begin with the beginning of how we were preparing for this very, very different warfare. And I felt that I should rather share with you some of my personal feeling all along the fight, because the war, Six-Day War in Jerusalem did not started in entering into the old city. The story is going backward many days and weeks and months and so on. So before everything, I think that we should be acknowledging the way the paratroopers were organized. The brigade of paratroopers that fought in Jerusalem was headed by, at that time, Colonel Mota Gur. Later on, he was Chief of General Staff and the minister in the government. But at that time, he was the commander of the brigade, and the brigade had three battalions. My battalion, 71 battalions, was the youngest battalion. And when we were called to enlist in the two weeks of waiting for decision to support Israel against the threat of Egypt and Jordan and Syria, we were preparing ourselves to participate in the war. And what we were preparing for was parachuting at night near the city El Arish in Sinai, and helped the armor brigade that were going along the seashore all the way to the canal, helped them to overcome the resistance of the Egyptians. But what was happening when the war started was that the Air Force was doing a outstanding job in diminishing all of the air forces of the three countries, and the force that attacked Sinai was doing fine, and we were not needed too much there. But what was happening in the time of these beginnings is that King Hussein, the leader of Jordan, that had was forced or was persuaded to sign an agreement with Egypt, he decided, are you with me? King Hussein decided to, just a moment, I don't hear you.
עוזי, אנחנו כולם שומעים אותך, כל האורחים כרגע נמצאים במיוט.
Are you with me? Oh.
עוזי, כל האורחים, עוזי, all the guests now in the mute mode with the microphones. This means they all kind of silent. They all hear you. Please carry on. Thank you.
Okay. Now, King Hussein decided that he entering the war with Egypt against Israel. And Jerusalem was the first and most important place to be attacked. And when we, the paratroopers brigade, when we were getting the order not to jump in El Arish, but to go to Jerusalem, we were not aware of the threat, and we were not sure whether we have any chance to take part in the war, because we couldn't believe that King Hussein will do such a stupid thing, but he did. And we were sent to go to Jerusalem without any preparation, because we didn't know what is going on there. We were trying to, when we were up, we went directly to the headquarters of the Jerusalem Brigade. And we got to the headquarters of the brigade, of this brigade. We didn't find anybody there but one officer. And we were looking for maps and for photos. And the intelligence officer that was there, by the way, his name was Reuven Rivlin, the existing our leader, Rivlin, Rivlin. So we waited for Motagur, for the commander, our commander, to get to the place, but the Jordanians were shelling the headquarters of the Jerusalem Brigade, and we realized that we cannot remain there. So we went outside and we find a place to get the details from our commander, Motagur. It is only there, and it was already Monday afternoon, that we were hearing from Mota what is expected from us. And we were supposed to attack the northern part of Jerusalem, the Arabic Jerusalem. The 66th battalion was to attack the ammunition hill. We, battalion 71, were to attack the other side of the Jordanian rule, and we had a little bit of time to go to the border to try and see how we are going to lead this kind of a war. Now, when the war, when the plan was already ready in my mind, we had to go and find our battalion and to see the company commanders and to ask them to be prepared to do their job. It was night, and the buses with our soldiers were already in one of the places in Jerusalem. I found my battalion, brought my company commanders with me, and we were looking for some light. Almost all of the Jerusalem citizens were downstairs, and they did not dare to remain in their apartments. So I went down one of the places and asked somebody to open the apartment for us. And a couple volunteered to go, and they opened their apartment. We were there, I with my company commanders, and it is only then that I dictated all of my commanders what they should do and when their part is going to take place. What I did not know at that time is that my company commander, Yoram Zamush, a youngster from a religious kibbutz, Yavne, he was talking to the lady of the apartment, and she gave him a little flag, Israeli flag, and he took it. I'll go back to Yoram Zamush and the flag later on. This was over. I mean, the decision and the preparation of each of the companies were ready as we could do in a very, very short time. And then we are beginning to bring our battalion to near the place, the spot, what we had decided to breach. But we still had to go to Motagur and to get a green light to go and attack. So I, with my jeep and my company commanders, I was leading the whole convoy of buses in a dark Jerusalem night. And why I could do that, I will say you in now. my Jerusalem is not the only place, the only thing that myself was participating in, because I knew Jerusalem when I was a soldier in the paratroopers, and we were helping to guard all the border of Jerusalem. So for 2 months, I was a company commander guarding all the border of Jerusalem. So I knew quite well what is Jerusalem, how it is. But also I had a very, very unique experience, and this is when I finished my studies at the Technion as an engineer. My wife Naomi was a medical student, and we were there in Jerusalem until she finished the studies. And what young couple is doing on Saturday, going by foot and visiting places in Jerusalem. So I knew, because of this part of my history, I knew quite well what to do in Jerusalem. And I brought all of this caravan of buses. I brought them exactly to the place where we decided that this is where we're going to breach. Still, Motagor was hesitating whether we should start this war at night or wait for the morning and wait perhaps for Air Force or for artillery, and not doing the war hastily. But all of the battalion commanders, the commanding officer of battalion 98 and that of 66 and my 71, we told Motagor, we are going to fight at night. And night is the friend of the paratrooper soldier. We learned it all along the war against the infiltration from all of our borders. So Mota had to agree that we will begin exactly then. And I'm going to my battalion ready to breach. We had a support of 2 tanks, Sherman tanks, not something very unique. And the 28th battalion we were supposed to go behind our battalion and go at the same place that we breached the fences. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. And by 2:15, we are through the fences and going towards the inside of Arabic Jerusalem. This is the only time that I took the radio and told Motagor, we are in and we are going ahead. And he said, great, kiss on your head. And he promised me that I will have this kiss. I'm still waiting for this kiss. I'll meet him somewhere else upstairs, and we'll do that. In any case, seriously, we knew that the Jordanians are there. We knew from what we have seen before getting into the planning of the attack, we knew what some of the strongholds of the Jordanian are. We did not know how many soldiers are there, but I learned about it much later. And this is one side story that I would like to share with you now. A few years ago, it was arranged to have a meeting of Israeli officers that took part in Jerusalem in 97, and officers, Jordanian officers that participated in this war. 10 Israelis and 10 Jordanian officers that were at that time, majority of them were already generals. And in the first lunch that we have together to get to know each other, I was sitting between two Jordanian generals, retired. And the one that was on my right side, I asked him, where did you fight? And he said, in Shikhjarah. And I said, well, I too was in Shikhjarah. So we fought against each other. And he said, you don't know, but I was wounded and your people took me as a prisoner of war. And I spent 2 months in Europe prison until I was released. And then I asked him, how many of you were there? He said, I was a platoon commander and we were a company that was fighting against you. And then he said, we lost 19 soldiers in the war against you. My battalion lost only 12. But the whole list of casualties of our brigade at the end of the war, out of 1.5 days of fighting, was 97. On the ammunition hill, we lost 26 soldiers, and the Jordanian there lost 74. One of the places that was a part of the program of this meeting between Jordanian officers and Israeli officers were in the ammunition hill. And I was selected to talk for the Israeli side, and we saluted the casualties, both Israelis and Jordanian. And I think this is something that I will never forget. Back to the war. The first day was the most difficult one. And we were, at the end of the day, in the afternoon, we were already near the end of the height of the Jerusalem, and Motagur arrived and wanted to give us follow-on orders what to do next. And what to do next was supposed to attack on one hand the hill of Augusta Victoria. There was up to the intelligence, they were a company entrenched there, but also take the Mount of Olives. And of course, the first day Mount Scopus was already in our hands. Out of the blue, the Rabbi Goren, the chief military rabbi, arrived. And he said that his mother is buried in the cemetery of Mount of Olives. And I told him, Rabbi, whenever we get to Mount of Olives, I'll personally take you and we'll find the grave of your mother. He did not talk, he did not mention the old city. Mota Gur was thinking and talking about taking the Mount Olives, and he did not mention Jerusalem. But before getting to this meeting with Mota Gur, with the commander, our commander, the A company commander, Yoram Zamush, remember, the one who got the flag, turned to me and said, Uzi, we are going to get the order for the follow-on war. If there is a decision to get into the old city, I want to be the first to get into it. Can you say to Mota? And I said, I'll try. The end of this meeting, when nobody, as I mentioned before, mentioned the old city, enter into the old city, I took a minute of the time of Mota Gur and said, look, there is a company commander that wanted to be the first to enter into the old city if there is an order to do that. And Mota said, okay. I'm not sure even today whether he really realized what he's approving, and that was that. But we had to wait until the day after in order to attack the hill of Augusta Victoria and to take Mount of Olives. And 6 o'clock in the morning, Mota Gur asked me to come. He was in one of the houses not far, and I got the order to take Augusta Victoria stronghold and to help take Mount of Olives. I'm getting back to the house that was taken by my soldiers earlier, the day before, and when I got there the day before, I told my people, look, it is a private house. Do not do anything. Take only one room for us and leave the tenants to do what they need. When I got very, very late at night to this, my headquarters, my sergeants, operations sergeants come with the tray and said, the lady of the house sends you a cup of coffee, strong, sweet. And I still remember the smell of this coffee that I was given by the lady of the house. After the war, I went over there once, and I didn't go there anymore. Back to the Wednesday. The sky was blue, and there was a moment of silence, of quiet. And I said, how is it that it is so peaceful and yet the war is so cruel? But we had to go on. Still, not a word about the old city. When I decided how to attack the hill of Augusta Victoria, I left a company back, very close to the wall. Why? Because I promised him to be the first to enter into the old city. I said, if we will have the order, we did not yet, then I don't need you to attack the hill, but you wait for me for the word for me. 10 o'clock in the morning. We already after taking the Augusta Victoria stronghold. We already after taking Mount of Olives. Motagor is at the top of Mount of Olives. 10 o'clock, he said in the on the radio that we have permission, we have an order to get into the old city. All the forces, he said, go to the Lions Gate. I'm quite far, but I'm talking to my deputy and says, we are going to enter the Lions Gate. You will go to the Dung Gate because I didn't want my battalion to be too close. And then I'm beginning to get down. Later on, tonight, if it will be possible, you see some photos, and one of them shows me going in front, in heading my battalion all the way to the Lions Gate. I did not know how long it took. For me, it was like a dream. And I got to very close to the hall, and I see Company A for me with Yoram Zamush waiting. And I'm getting to Zamush and said, why are you waiting? Get inside. And when I finished this order, Motagor with his deputy in a car passing in front of us and getting into the whole city. And then my company, A company, is going exactly instantly there, and I'm after them. We got to the Mosque of Omar and Al-Aqsa. Quiet. Everything was clean, white. And I still had time because some of my companies did not enter yet. So I turned to Mota and said, Mota, I'm going to find the Wailing Wall. He said, okay. By that time, my A company commander, Yoram Zamush, already put the Israeli flag that he got from the family in Jerusalem on the wall above the Wailing Wall. And miraculously, I find the trails, the stairs that are getting to the wall, and we are there. One photo was taken there. The only soldiers that got to the Wailing Wall after 19 years was the headquarters of my battalion, with me heading it. And then I'm getting on the radio a message from B company, and the company commander told me, Rabbi Goren is with me. So I'm sending a soldier to near the Omar Mosque to take Rabbi Goren and bring him down to us. And he's with us, as excited as not unbelievable how excited he was. And he takes his little book of Psalms and said, and wrote as present to me, Lieutenant Colonel Uzi Ealam, that took the wall and the Jerusalem. And I said, Rabbi, I'm only major, I'm not a second lieutenant. And he said, you will be colonel, you will be a general, you will go far. And then he takes the shofar and trying to blow it. And he's so excited that no sound came out of the shofar. So I tell him, the Rabbi Goren, please give me the shofar. I'm playing the trumpet. I know how to play the shofar. And I did. And this was the first shofar blows after 19 years of the wall that was not in our hands. But the war was on, and I had to take my battalion and go all the way through Jerusalem to see that there are no more opposition over there. We got to the other hand of Jerusalem, and I already I see that there is a problem. There was a platoon of Jordanian soldiers that apparently did not know that the war is over, and one of my soldiers were killed, and I saw that we had to do something about it. So I took 3 soldiers with me, and we climbed to the roof of the building. It was a small hotel, night hotel, and we attacked the whole Jordanian force that was there. In the meantime, they were shooting downstairs, and my deputy was wounded, and I myself was wounded when we attacked them. But this was the end of the war in Jerusalem. I took my doctor, and we, my deputy and myself, went to Hadassah Hospital. They took care of us, and I told my doctor, look, I'm taking you with me because it's not difficult to get into the hospital, but you have to take us out. And he took us out, and we went back to Jerusalem. The night the battalion spent in the building inside Jerusalem, and the day after we went out of the Jerusalem. We turned the Jerusalem to the Jerusalem Brigade, thinking that that was the end. It was not, because when all of the battalions were out of Jerusalem, Mota told us, well, there are no more missions to the brigade. So take whatever you need and wait. And I felt that the Golan Heights is there, and the war is going to begin there. And I took my battalion, and we went up north. in the middle of the first attack of the Golan Heights, I go to the headquarters of the commander of the Northern Command, David Elazar Dado. Later on, he was a chief of general staff in Yom Kippur, and told him, Dado, I'm here with my battalion, and I need something to do. And he said, okay, there is a brigade commander south of us, go there, he will give you a mission. And the day after, it was Saturday, we were heli lifted over the Syrian tanks, and we got far into the Golan Heights, and we took it. And only after the war there were over, very late at night, we went back to Israel. But for the second day, it was Sunday, Mota decided to have a brigade ceremony on top of Jerusalem, near the Omer Mosque in Jerusalem. And all of the brigade, those who remained, those who, even some injured soldiers from the hospital were taking part in this ceremony. I think we have one picture that we'll see it. And this was supposed to be the end of everything. I didn't feel that it is a real proper end for my battalion. So I took my battalion, and we were sitting on the stairs between the Omar Mosque and the other mosque. And I was telling them, I said, when we were just beginning our career as a battalion, I was talking to them and said that I will willingly go to war with you. After this war, I told them, I never changed my mind. I'm with you whenever there is another war. And then I said, we were taking part in something big, but we will realize what is it that we participated in. We will know only later. And then I said, I'm saluting you, my children, my soldiers. And I stand there saluting, and all of the battalion stood up and saluted. And this is an unforgettable moment for me and for my soldiers. We meet in Jerusalem every year, not this year. Day of Jerusalem is tomorrow morning, 2 days, Friday. But every year we meet there on one of the hills that we first took in Jerusalem. And it is very, very dear, very important to all of those who took part in the fight in Jerusalem. So whenever we say Jerusalem war, people are happy, people are celebrating, and we're also celebrating, but we are mourning. We know what we had to pay for getting Jerusalem back to us. Thank you very much. Now, if we can see the pictures, please.
Yes, Uzi, just could you please let me know, in the beginning of the presentation, there are some maps. Would you like me to begin from the start, or would you like to go to the black and white pictures immediately?
I didn't hear you.
Would you like me to go to the pictures, or would you like me to start from the maps?
Of the
maps. Okay, I will open the presentation. Just let me know what to do, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I will share the presentations with you where we have some pictures of Uzi, which he described before. Thank you.
No, if possible, please, let's see the, this is where we started. We see the Mount Scopus here, and we see where we were. Another
Should I
one.
go to the next one?
Another one.
Yes, please.
Again, what we see is
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. But let's skip it because it's just maps.
Here.
Go. Now, in the middle, Major Yilem and all the soldiers of the Battalion 71 on the way to Lionsgate. Another
Next one.
Sure. Here. Now, this is the Israeli flag that Company A commander was bringing with him, and the Wailing Wall is down there.
Next one, Uzi.
Another one. The first, how many? 5, 6. Me in the middle, and the Wailing Wall. We can see it. No one was there when we got. Later on, it was full of people. Another one. Rabbi Goren, he is writing the small book of Psalms dedicated to me. And we have these, what he wrote, we will see it later on here.
Next one.
Next. This is what he wrote. To these who freed the Temple Mountain and the Wailing Wall, Lieutenant Colonel Uzi Ealam, and it was given in a date and so on, and he signed. And this is something that I'm keeping with me all the time. Next. Here is the shofar. Now, Rabbi Goren could not do that at that time. Afterwards, he did. But what he was trying to do is just to read the big book of the Psalms and was praying. Next. General Bar-Lev here, commanding, central commanding Uzi Narkis here, and me with the, in the middle. Next. Right, relaxing before going on to fight, before going on to be wounded. Bar-Lev. Next. This is the ceremony on the top of the Omar Mosque, the brigade, the whole brigade. Me in front. Next. This is the spot where we decided that we will commemorate our soldiers. And I'm writing the first text that later on was changed and be the place that every year in the Jerusalem Day we are going there. But this is just after getting down from the Omer. We're getting down. Here is what we are doing before just getting back home. Hala. Here is this is how it looked there, and it reads. This is for the fighters of Battalion 71 in the war in Jerusalem. Some of my soldiers around these mementos. I'm here somewhere, but it's too big. Next. Another day, another year, and I'm looking at what the city of Jerusalem arranged to try to put a different, more respectable memorandum for those who were killed in my battalion in Jerusalem. This is the Jordanian general who was a platoon commander that we took him as prisoner, and that we met in this meeting between Israeli and Jordanian officers that fought in Jerusalem. Okay, Dayan, later on Dayan, and the Rabbin, chief of the general staff there, and Narkis, the commanding officer of the central command, they are getting into the old city and to the wall. Well, that's it. The war was over, but wars did not stop. And this was a picture from the attrition war. Not to do with the Jerusalem. I think next. This is the act of Karame. Colonel Rafael Eitan, later on he was chief of general staff, is here, and me commanding my battalion in reserve, taking part in this war. Last, Dayad was visiting the Jordan Valley, and I'm here, and you can see Dayan and Barlev as his job as commanding IDF command. Well, I think we are through. And one more word that I had to tell you. I feel privileged to expose what I felt and what I did in this quite short time. It is not easy for me to come back to the difficulties. It's not easy for me to remember how dangerous we were, in situation we were, but it is something to be proud of, and I am proud of being one part with all my people, my soldiers in this kind of a very, very unique and important war. Thank you.
So, Uzi Ealam, the honor is ours to hear firsthand stories of probably what is one of our greatest conquests in the Holy Land for the Jewish people. You probably knew at the time, but the entire Jewish world would be thankful, grateful for what you and your soldiers did on that day.
I did hear you.
I wanted to reiterate that the entire Jewish world, not just Israel, are all grateful for the fact that you and your soldiers conquered our holiest site, giving us the ability to come visit the Kotel freely, to own the site and to hold it in reverence. I don't know if you knew at the time that act that you and your soldiers have done and how much the effect would have, how much it would reverberate around the world until today and will continue. But you must have known at the time that this is an historical moment for Jews. You must have known at the time that this would be a game changer for Israel. Is that what you felt at the time?
Yeah, yeah, yes. And you remember that I was telling my soldiers, it is not today that we will realize what we've done, but it will get one day.
And was there any political hesitancy, any doubt from the political side of the government to say, maybe we shouldn't go ahead, maybe we shouldn't conquer it? In order to have a long-lasting peace, maybe we shouldn't. Was there any doubt by the politicians at that time?
Well, this is a loaded matter and a very, very disputable. We're getting into politics, and politics is something that we have many different ideas and many different approaches, and I think that what we did because we felt that not only Jerusalem but the whole area is going to be destroyed, and we're going to lose our independence, and this is why we were doing it. We did not join this war of 6 days in order to free Jerusalem. This was not the only thing that was there, and the fact that it took a long time to decide on the government to decide that we can get into the old city. Only Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock and not before. And no wonder that no Motagur nor Rabbi Goren mentioned getting into the old city before the decision of the government was made.
I'm going to ask a few questions from our audience, if that's all right.
Yeah.
One of our audience asks, if Jordan had not joined the war, would Israel have fought on to Jerusalem?
It's not easy to refer to it. Look, King Hussein was wrong in joining Nasser, and if he wouldn't have done that, then we would not have any excuse to get and take the West Bank. But his son, Abdullah, now is in a very, very precarious situation, and we have to be careful to help him to remain in the throne and not to give the Palestinians to conquer the Jordan and to be the leader. So what we should do is be very, very sensitive about how the Hashemite kingdom will survive.
Yes. There is a famous photograph by the Kotel of 3 soldiers. One of the soldiers was Yitzhak Ifat, one of the paratroopers by the Kotel. Did you know him? Was he part of your unit?
Well, he was a soldier in the other battalion, Battalion 66, and they got to the Kotel later on, but the photo is something outstanding today. I mean, it is something really unique.
It is for all around the world. Tell us, how long did it take after you'd conquered it? Were civilians allowed to come and pray and see the Kotel?
Say it again, please.
So once you'd conquered the Kotel, the wall, how long after you conquered it, was it safe for civilians, for Israeli citizens to come and see the Kotel and start praying at the Kotel?
In the beginning, it was safe. I think that it took a few months for the Arabs to get out of the shock and develop some opposition. But the first few months it was very, very safe. Even today, I'm years later, after the first Intifada, when I was going to Jerusalem, to the old city, I decided to take my gun, but before I did not. So things are not remaining the same.
And what was the relationship like with the Arab population in that part of Jerusalem now that they'd been conquered? How did they take it?
Well, I think that the general situation between the people in the West Bank and the Israelis is quite favorable, quite promising. But of course, there are extremists on both sides, and this, of course, brings once in a while to terror activities. We are not free from it yet.
Uzi, have you ever been approached to create a documentary film, to create a historical oral project of what you've said, to make sure that it lives long in history, of the generation of IDF veterans and all of the soldiers alongside you? Have you been approached to do anything?
Well, look, I'm talking to many events, and many events. I think that it is my duty to do that, youngsters. And most of them, almost all of them, are interested. All of them are not knowledgeable enough. And as long as I can talk, as long as I can go and meet these youngsters, I'm doing that. And I'm not the only one who is doing that. I think it is good. But what I also doing, I'm writing books. And one book was translated into English, and in Amazon. I had a site in Amazon, and it gives how Israel got strong, the force of Israel. And the second book that I wrote, it was not translated into English. It was a book about the Yom Kippur War, 73 war. Quite a heavy task. And recently, I just wrote a book about the way the paratroopers began to be relevant in the IDF, and I called it the raid at night, and it's now being translated to English. So one of two books that could help people who did not know anything about how Israel got to be such a technological superpower and how Israel was getting to be a fighting nation. Please read my books.
Definitely. One final question, Uzi, in your opinion, since 1948, who has been Israel's, till to date, who has been Israel's greatest general?
I didn't understand it exactly. Say it again, please.
So, Uzi, in your opinion, you know Israel, IDF, better than most. Since 1948 until today, who do you think has been Israel's greatest general?
I'm not sure.
They've all been that good. Is that where we are? Yeah. They've all been brilliant, and it's hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. Uzi, you have shared with us your experiences. We have lived through, nearing Yom Yerushalayim, lived through the experiences and the time and the fighting that you went through with your battalion. This is invaluable. This is a time for us that we can only cherish. We take for granted around the world that we can go and visit the Kotel freely. We can walk and we can pray without any hesitancy, without anyone stopping us, thanks to you and the soldiers at the time. So we thank you. We wish you long life and happiness with wonderful nachas from all your family, and happiness and success in everything that you want and want to achieve. So Uzi Ealam, we, the ZF, the WZO, would like to wish you all the very best in this auspicious occasion. I've been Paul Charney, chairman of the ZF. You've been our hero. We want to thank you and good night.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Thank you very much. Toda rabba.
Okay.